Thank you, Lisa. Just wanted to let the energy of that song just perfect song. So perfect. Because each of those souls reminds us what we have the capacity to do at our own little level of being, at our own little place in the world. Some people are highly visible in the difference they make in the world. Other people are seemingly almost invisible, but it makes their gifts no less treasured. It makes their difference they make in the world no less important. But we are blessed to have examples to follow of people who, even when times were challenging and difficult, held to a vision, to a dream of a better world for one and for all. That's basically what Jesus did. He came in and said, be embodied, live in this world, but realize you are made of stardust. You are made of spirit. You are made of the presence of the divine. And so is all of this creation. Recognize that you're not alone. And know that even when you go through challenging times, there are those around you who hold the light and remind you that you're not alone. And that this too is part of life and the experiences of life. This month, we're looking at the Celtic practice of thresholds, those places where we're shifting from one place to another. We had our Burning Bowl and Vision Quest at the beginning of this year. That's one of our annual collective thresholds. And we all have many, many thresholds in the course of our lives. We have ones that we share with the turning of the season, even with the changes in the course of a day, as the sun and the moon do their dance. And in these places, we talked about thresholds and how they're wonderful places of potential and a perfect place to do prayer work. And today, I'm going to talk about that moment that's where you're not in one realm and not yet in the next one. The in-between, the betwixt and between. It's that place where you're held in suspension, in a place of unknowing. What you've known before is no longer the same, but the new vision is not yet complete and established. You're in this place of flux where what was is gone, but what is coming hasn't fully arrived yet. And that's a place that can be really scary. We talked about the difference between just flipping the letters. Sacred and scared is just the flip of two letters. And so when you're in these times of suspension, it's a place that's filled with possibilities. It's a place to come to peace with what was and to realize the gifts and to release the pain and open to the blessings that you are now envisioning, seeing that arc of history curving toward justice and unity, to compassion and wisdom. One of the great spiritual classics that came in the mid-14th century is called The Cloud of Unknowing. And it's about how the Christian contemplative, mystical path is one where you need to reach a place of unknowing with your brain so that you can know God with your heart, your spirit, and your mind with a capital M. It's realizing that peace that passes all understanding that Jesus talks about, where you can't figure everything out and don't have to figure everything out. I realized it's kind of like a child that's in the womb and the mother goes into labor, and the child is not going to be in the womb much longer, and they're moving down that birth canal, and it gets tighter and darker as it moves from this fluid womb it's been in, and suddenly it's being pushed out, uncomfortable, and then it begins to see the light. And then it comes into the world, into the hands of those who welcome it into the world. And it's placed on the chest of its mother. And nowadays, frequently, the dad is part of the process. It even cuts the umbilical cord. And then this new child is in the world. It's like we're that baby right now in our country that's gone from the fluid womb of what was, and we're being squished down this birth canal right now into new possibilities. And how we vision and how we dream and how we make our choices is so pivotal to the direction things unfold in. Christine Walters Paintner, in her book, The Soul's Slow Ripening, talks about the importance of being aware of thresholds and of practicing statio, which is the practice of stopping one thing before you start the next. We tend to run from one activity to another. In fact, we frequently multitask. This is a reminder to do the Buddhist practice of chop wood, carry water. Be present. Consciously shift when you're going from one activity, one time of your day into the next, one place to another. And if you can just take a moment to be aware of the gifts of where you've been and then look forward to the gifts of where you're going next. She shares a practice that you can do in the book she calls a photography exploration, where you walk around and you take photos of things that are portals to you, that are thresholds. And I immediately thought of Michael McKee with some of his amazing pictures that he does and that we still have with us. And his pictures frequently captured portals, whether they were doorways or people's hands as portals of service. He did a whole series of just hands. And this photographic practice and exploration she invites you to do is so that you become more aware. And so you walk around more conscious. Things that draw your attention, you take a photo of, and then when you get home, you look at those and you reflect and meditate on them. That's a beautiful process for doing all of your life and encountering thresholds with. To notice is the first step, to be present in the divine current moment, and then to receive the gifts that are there present in that moment. No matter what is going on, the gifts are always there. And then to take those gifts and reflect on how do I integrate what I seek with where I am, so that as I step forward from this moment into the next, it can be a conscious step in the right direction. The old saying is, how do you get to Valhalla, to Shambhala, to the kingdom of heaven? And it's simply make sure each step is taking you in that direction. And so this is about becoming really conscious. And as I was preparing this talk, I was remembered that the last article I wrote for Living on the Peninsula, that was the last edition, and with so many places closed, I don't think most people have been able to even see it yet. But I did an article called Betwixt and Between. And it's about this in-between realm. And it was for the issue on coasts, living on the coast. Each issue, as you know, has a specific theme. And it was so interesting because I got really clear that I needed to write about the betwixt and between land that coasts are. And the gift of the lighthouse that we have out here at Port Townsend and that mark coastlines all over the world. And so I was going to pull out a few quotes, and Spirit very clearly said, no, you need to share the article. I thought, oh, they're going to think I'm cheating. I didn't do my talk. I just pulled something out. And Spirit kind of laughed and said, stop the judgment. This was a gift for you to share, and this is another channel for you to share it. So I offer you from Spirit and from my heart, Betwixt and Between. It opens with a quote by Bretta Bushnell. This betwixt and between is a sacred space within which powerful and profound events occur, often uninvited. Coasts are places of wonder. They are truly betwixt and between places. They are thresholds of communion between the ebb and flow of sea with the shifting sands of shore in infinitely varied expressions. They are also special places to experience the transitions of time and the shadings of unfolding days. Like night awakening into morning at the threshold of dawn, and then folding back into the shadows of night at the threshold of dusk, we see the betwixt and between times. Seen from a coastal shore, the expanse of nature allows us to encounter that which was, now blending irreversibly into that which will be. Coasts invite an awareness of the rhythms and cycles of nature that lie beyond our control and yet impact our lives. They represent land's end meeting sea's beginning, with ever-changing tidal shifts that alter the landscape moment by moment. We can discover lessons that enrich our understanding of our own ever-changing lives as we welcome the gentle surf to walk beside, stand in awe of crashing high tide breakers, and encounter the rogue waves that knock us off our feet. Coasts are betwixt and between places that allow our communion with the unexpected. We can experience not only the tidal shifts that clear beaches of the debris on the outflow, but also leave stones, shells, and shards of timber scattered everywhere on the inflow. The tide carries away the old and also brings new treasures for us to discover. The tide must go out for us to see what was hidden beneath the flow of waters covering the shore. When the sea retreats, the beach expands in scope and interest. When the sea returns, the beach is again hidden in mystery. From Lori Burroughs Grad, I am on the threshold of the betwixt and between land. A state of liminality is one where the order of things has been suspended. It is the future and the promise of transformation that I find so heartening about luminality. The betwixt and between offer portals to transformational experiences as we release the past and the known so that we may embrace the ever-evolving moment and the as yet revealed. It is to encounter the mystery as well as the natural unfoldings, a place and time of luminality. This word comes from the Latin limen, which means a threshold. It is a place of changing light, light that is not only our physical vision, but our spiritual sight as well. It is remembering that believing is seeing rather than seeing is believing. It invites us to encounter the numinous, the unknown and the evolving creations of life, and to meet them on their own terms. Coastal life abides where sea and land create ever-evolving landscapes in which we can process our own ever-evolving soulscapes. Life brings us to thresholds of change where we must release aspects of ourselves and our lives so that we can cross into new possibilities and new beginnings. We do these liminal moments over and over as life brings change. To realize and honor the initiatory portal calling us will allow deeper engagement with the soul work that is ours. We each have our own inner coasts where the shores of our earthly form encounter the sea changes of soul calling and the flow of spirit. We are ourselves betwixt and between beings. As we encounter the threshold of coast, we can find invitation, insight, and inspiration to assist us during challenging times. Nature offers a way to divine a new perspective and trust the unfoldings even when they are uninvited. We are living in a time of massive changes globally as we all stand on a shore of uncertainty. We are confronting our deepest fears, honoring the best of humanity being called forth while celebrating our possibilities for a better world. At a coast, we can remember our inner foundational earth, shifting sands and incoming tides that will forever change the soulscapes of our lives. We are living in a betwixt and between time. From George Bernard Shaw. I can think of no other edifice constructed by man as altruistic as a lighthouse. They were built only to serve. Coastal landscapes are blessed with ever-shining beacons of light to reveal where we are in those threshold realms of Land's End and Sea's beginning. They shine always to allow one to set course upon the sea as land nears. Lighthouses are like North Stars for our earthly terrain. They guide even in the deepest fog and in the territories unknown. The light illuminates the darkness as it turns in every direction to aid in our safe navigation through life. Lighthouses are heralders of the betwixt and between. At the liminal thresholds as well as in daily encounters of our unfolding life, we have bearers of light who offer us this same constancy, clarity, and presence. For most, it is found in family and friends. For some, in the guidance of mentors and the inspiration of those who have walked the shores before them. For many, it is found in whatever spiritual practice resonates with their inner personal soul journey. These light bearers are always and ever forever present if we but search in the darkness for their beacons of light. We can be the presence of hope and the keepers of light for one another during these times of upheaval and change. We can stand on the shores of our lives, ready to greet the tidal shifts with faith in our world as we hold the light in service to one another. Let us welcome the betwixt and between and allow it to express as threshold places, times, and souls in our lives. Let the betwixt and between mysteriously offer us its rich gifts of transformation, grace, and presence. And I was praying with that, and I realized that our unity prayer of protection is like our lighthouse that is ever present as we traverse through our lives. It's there. It's one of the lighthouses that we can count on. The prayer of protection is one that I and many of us have used at challenging moments in our lives to remind us of the presence of the divine. It was crafted to be carried into World War II by soldiers to know that God was with them. It is one that we all hold near and dear. And this prayer is one that we can use to remind us to look for the light, to see the light, and then to be the light ourselves. The light of God surrounds us, is that light that ever turns and shines and meets you in whatever direction you're approaching it from. It doesn't just shine one way. It's all encompassing. That is the light of God. It surrounds you always. The love of God enfolds us. That is the very sea and sky and land in which we journey. And whether it is dense fog, in which you're counting on that lighthouse to bring you home safely, or whether it is clear skies where you just see the beautiful white tower there on the shoreline, that is the love of God that enfolds you, that is there in infinite forms. The power of God protects us. That is the sound of the foghorn that we hear when the fog comes in here in Port Townsend, that guides the ships, that gives them protection and warning and guides them safe to port. And finally, the presence of God watches over us, is just simply that abiding presence that is always there. Whether there is a time of storm, a time of calm, whether there is deep fog or clear sky, whether you're on a boat alone or with a whole bunch of companions, whether you're on a boat that catches the wind to move, or whether you're on a power boat that you're directing, all of it is that flow of life with its infinite possibilities. So I invite you this coming week to just take a little bit of time and go spend some time on the shore here at Port Townsend. Go to Fort Worden or North Beach or Chetzemoka, wherever you want, and just allow the message of the landscape, which is such a part of Celtic spirituality, to touch you, to nourish you, to give you new faith, new insights, new possibilities. And take some time to go commune with our very own lighthouse as an outer symbol of this amazing soul journey that we all have an inner lighthouse in each of us to not only guide us, but others. And so take advantage of the landscape that we live in that is here to nourish and inspire you. And whenever you say the prayer of protection, do it with a deeper awareness than ever before, that in the midst of betwixt and between times, those uncertain realms, there is ever a certainty there that is the presence of God. Emmett Fox said, if you just realize that God is present, everything else takes care of itself. And so be that presence, feel that presence, and know that you have been sent to be the light of God and to dance through thresholds and through in-between realms. It's a time of great possibility. Just remember to pause, notice, receive the gifts, reflect on what you want to do next, and then open the way with prayer. Let us pray. Sweet, sweet Spirit, as we step into this coming week, we do so together as a community of faith, as brothers and sisters who are Anam Cara, true spiritual soul family. We open in willingness to behold the light bearers who have gone before, those who are present in our world now, those in realms visible and in those in realms unseen. We welcome these companions of spirit who remind us to have the courage and the faith to be who we've been sent to be, the willingness and the grace to do what we've been sent to do, and the love and the compassion to do it with a tenderness that will heal the world. We welcome these betwixt and between times, and we welcome the pilgrimage of our unfolding souls as we live our soul unfoldings as well. For this time, for this shared time together each week, we are so profoundly grateful. And so feel yourself renewed, inspired, and rededicated, not only by this service, this moment, this time, this space, but by each and every one who has added the blessings of their light by being present in the circle of this service this day. We are so deeply grateful. Om, Amen, and blessed be.